All right, all right. I have a chat overlay, I think, here. Set it
Yeah.
live. We'll see what happens. Anyways, dude, welcome. This is a little bit different. Let me take this thing off. It's a little bit
Yep.
different because it is a sort of. Me and Danny did have a hot date yesterday. We did go see the
Damn right.
new Nick Cage movie. And dude, I like going to see. I don't know about you, dude, but I like going to see bad movies. I don't think this movie was bad, but I like to go see movies and not be judged. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, have you ever just watched a bad movie
Mm-hmm.
and just by yourself you go, "This is terrible,"
Yeah, yeah.
but I still enjoyed it. And my wife hates anything occult related, like satanic, demonic
Right.
stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
like I told you, I didn't know this movie was anything about that. And as I was watching it, so many things were going off in the background, like boom, 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 boom. I'm like, wait a minute, like this hits on all the stuff that I've talked about, and I'm sure
Yeah.
that he knows about because of again, I did that episode with Weston
Yeah.
where he was telling me like we had occult books, we were reading Eliphas Levi, which I know to you doesn't mean anything, but these are
Mm-hmm.
some of the most well-known occultists, if you will, in this realm.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
can we get a sound check in the chat? This is the first time we go live with this particular thing, just to make sure people are hearing me okay. Let me go
Yeah,
over to.
hope we're coming through all right. Hope we're coming through okay.
Let me open it up here real quick. Well, yeah, dude, what'd you think of Longlegs, bro?
So, definitely getting into it. For me, the hype around this movie was definitely there because I know we talked about it. They kept saying like, "Oh, this is like 90 or 100% Rotten Tomatoes. This is like crazy good." They were saying like, "Oh, that this is like the best movie or horror movie in like years or whatnot." I tried to not get so have those expectations up there because anything that kills a movie for me is the overhype and just people saying that, yo, you gotta watch this, is the best thing ever. So I went in as blind as possible. I think the only thing I ever saw was this like social media like quick ad that showed like the lead actor going in to see Nicolas Cage for the first time. And they did it perfectly because they didn't really show him in all the marketing. I came to find that out later. Um so going into it, I will say this. This gave me those vibes of like Silence of the Lambs, Seven. I felt more of like that. Have you seen that movie Seven with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman? The one with the "What's in the box? What's
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
box?"
yeah.
Yeah,
But it's been so many
it,
years, bro.
bro. But the '90s had all these crazy good like
Like Fight
detective
Club.
thrillers and
Fight
yeah,
Club.
yeah, stuff like that. Where it just the aesthetic alone, like they didn't even have to tell us by showing like a title card showing like this happened in the '90s or this is going on during this time. Because all we had was like just a portrait of Bill Clinton in the background, and that's all you needed to know what time
Of the
period we
time.
were in. Yeah, exactly.
Or Richard
Like even the
Nixon.
houses, bro. Like it's weird. You get this sense of nostalgia while watching the movie, but at the same time, it's like very uneasy because like the director did such a perfect job of like creating this atmosphere where it just felt uncomfortable. I don't know if you got that same vibe. Like as you're watching, not so much on like the horror, but like you felt like this was like uncomfortable to watch. Even if nothing scary happened, you know?
So, by the way, the movie has a well, it's got a 7.3 on IMDb. By the way, we're going to be spoiler alerts. So, for anyone that wants to go see Longlegs, which I
Definitely watch it.
recommend, I
Yeah.
recommend it and it did, Danny. It made me feel. Now, I don't know if it was the hype leading up to it that people were screaming in the theaters, people were breaking down, having breakdowns, but the scene where he has the monologue, bro, that
Yeah.
he gets all, he starts to look down. And one of the things that the actress said was that he scared her because he was method acting. He
Yeah,
got into
yeah.
method acting. Now, this is something that he's talked about. I forgot the name he uses, but it's a form of shamanism. And
Mm-hmm.
essentially, what he does is he opens himself up to these things to come in. Okay. Now, what does that
Mm-hmm.
mean? Use your imagination. What was the entire movie about? I mean, the movie, first of all, Danny, I went in as blind
Mm-hmm.
as I could. And I
Yeah,
had
yeah.
that synchronicity that I told you about where the day before I released that short where I recited the book of Revelation with the seven-headed beast coming from the
Yeah.
ocean, et cetera, et cetera. I said that in my short. The next day, the trailer releases, and the main character, which by the way has the same birthday as my wife,
It's all connected.
has the same birthday as my wife. In the trailer, the official, I think the second trailer, or the official trailer, I guess is what they call it.
Yeah.
She recites that same verse, and I go, wait a
Mm.
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Is this all connected? Like what the hell is going on? So I went
Yeah,
in as
yeah.
blind as I could, and I kind of knew it might have had a little bit of an occult leaning, but not as much as it did, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it like
Uh,
super, super hardcore leaned into, I mean, hail Satan, bro.
they went into that. Yeah, they definitely went into that. It was interesting because you get a lot of themes in this movie. One of them being like how the main character herself, she has a bit of that kind of like autism that's like
Yeah.
very prevalent on 90s movies with like detectives and stuff like that.
You think
But
so?
they never, yeah, dude, because this is the thing. One of the greatest things I like about this movie is that it's not heavily reliant on technology. They obviously don't have cell phones. They don't have like they don't really look through like computers or stuff that much. They rely on just thinking and research and just the main character herself, who's played by Micah Monroe, a fantastic actor. She's been in a movie called It Follows. I don't know if you ever seen It Follows or The Guest.
The Lee Harker.
Yeah, the one who played Lee Harker. Yes.
Let me see here. So I'd never heard about her. I'd never seen
But
who she
she's
was.
yeah, she's been in like she's been getting this reputation now for like picking really good and interesting like horror movies. I definitely recommend It Follows, like an awesome soundtrack to an awesome horror movie. But anyway, her approach to this movie was more reserved, which could kind of be 50-50 for some people. But what I liked about it was that she played it to where everything she was researching off of Longlegs, who's the name of the serial killer in the movie, um
Oh,
essentially,
dude.
huh?
And she was also, check this out. This is really weird.
Yeah.
So let me pull up my screen. This is a new interface, people, so please bear with me. But let me pull my screen here because check this out. She
Yep.
just was in this movie, which has to do with what somebody just commented earlier. They said crazy how back then the movies were old, but always had one piece of new technology, and they were also channeling. I would consider channeling Nephilim a technology. Okay,
Mm.
so let's see here. She was just in this movie.
I'll watch her. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, never mind. This is not the movie that I was thinking about. I was thinking of The Watchers, which just came out.
Mm.
This one right here, I thought it was this one. So The Watch. Either way, it's still weird.
Oh, that's the one with the Dakota Fanning. She's in like some cabin or something like that, and it's like this really weird. Yeah, I think that's coming out later this year. I think.
It already came out,
Oh, it already did.
but
Oh, okay, okay,
I heard it was really bad. So
okay.
yeah, anyways,
I
but yeah,
got you.
check out this. Longlegs isn't based on a true story, but it has a surprising connection to one famous murder because, again, like how you said, it doesn't use. And watching movies like this gives me hope that one day I can produce a movie within a
Hmm.
reasonable budget because
Yeah.
it doesn't need the special effects. It doesn't need
No,
all this craziness
it,
that.
it's it's interesting. It builds up as this very grounded detective story, right? That's like, detective trying to find a serial killer or whatnot. The moment that they start investigating into one of the houses and they end up finding the doll, that's where it starts going deeper. Because you're thinking, oh, this guy's like crazy, he's a Satan worshiper or whatever. But then there's an extra step to this, right? So when they find, they get some leads going and whatnot, and she's also being baited by the serial killer herself, by like, he leaves like some notes behind. There's this thing with ciphers as well. Like the satanic, what you call it, like the symbolisms and stuff like that, everything that they end up using with symbols, and finding out algorithms as well as to how he ends up choosing his victims. It's very interesting just how all that kind of starts building into the extra layer, which is the dolls. Now, I don't know how you interpreted everything with the dolls. I seem to I came to this conclusion that the dolls themselves, what they end up using the dolls for is some sort of like mind control type of like possession that makes the fathers of the families end up killing their own families and then killing themselves at the end of it. Um
So
Longlegs is not really a, like, we keep calling him the serial killer, but he technically doesn't kill anybody. He makes the dolls. He
well,
makes the
here's the thing,
dolls
dude.
and
I know that you're not the leading homunculologist here in Florida,
absolutely
but
not.
lucky for you, I am, right? Florida's homunculologist, Juan Ayala here. Guys, make sure to go TJOJP. I do have the Occultus Mundi Homunculus edition, 88 pages of gushy goodness of Homunculus, which
Damn.
when I saw it, we also have professionally printed Occultus Mundis, okay,
And in
in the
different
new
colors.
in different colors, bro. So, guys, TJOJP.com, issue 2 with Sam Tripoli, all that good stuff. So, here, dude, let me break this down for you, because as soon as I
Go
saw
for
this,
it.
I was like, boom. And mind you, the somebody kind of spoiled it for me, because the night before,
Uh-huh.
I'd gotten an email through the website
Right,
of
right.
somebody telling me, hey, you should go see the new Longlegs movie. It's
Right.
got homunculus references in it. It's got all this crazy occult stuff in it. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So here we go. And I
Uh-huh.
shot you I had saw you a screenshot of that message.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we have the main detective, the FBI guy, who kind of sort of doesn't believe in the occult, which
Yeah.
is a majority of the population in the
As
world doesn't believe in the
normally,
occult.
yeah, normally that's how it is, yeah.
And he's like, well, listen, he's not controlling these people with black magic or voodoo. He says that in specific in one of the parts in the movies, because the main girl, which
Mhm.
throughout the movie you're speculating as to, was she, I thought she was the accomplice the entire time. She's like, there's somebody
The
helping him,
Yeah.
but we don't know who. Now,
Remember, the setup too is that he doesn't leave any fingerprints. There's no like DNA. He doesn't leave anything in there. So somebody has to have been either helping them, or how is it possible that these families end up getting killed by somebody and the killer's not leaving any trace behind besides
he's
his
leaving his
notes?
trace,
Well, he's
the,
leaving
the
notes.
notes,
Yes. Yes.
which it was in the same handwriting
Yeah.
throughout all the different cases, and he follows a certain pattern. Now, I don't know if you noticed that throughout the movie there was a lot of gematria too. I don't know if you know what gematria is.
No,
It's
no, no.
when numerology, essentially. There was
Okay.
33, in
Oh,
the
yeah,
first
yeah.
in the
Mhm.
first one, when she guesses 0 and
She
33. So
connects the number 6 to the letter S by his cipher that he leaves
yeah.
there. So, yeah, yeah.
You had 0, 33, 14, 13. I think 24 was in there. 666 was in there. 88 was also another one. So there was a bunch of different
Yeah.
layers. So when I saw, and this is the reason why the name Longlegs is interesting to me, because when I think of Longlegs, I think of Daddy Longlegs. Oh,
Yeah, the spider.
isn't a Daddy Longlegs? Isn't that a freaking, here? Let me see here. A Daddy Longlegs. Oh, it is a spider. Okay, so
Yeah.
when I think of Daddy Longlegs, I think of a spider. And the reason I titled this Arachnid, Homunculi, and Interdimensional Serial Killers, because we're gonna get a little bit black belt level here in the occult, Danny. But just
Okay.
stick with me. I know you're not
I'll
into
stick
any of
with
this
you.
stuff, but
I'll stick with you.
a
Go
lot
for
of
it.
the things I was watching were very profound, because it relates to a lot of topics within the occult. And one of those topics is where, when these adepts get to a certain level, it's about manipulating reality, essentially. It's about manipulating space and time. Now, I've come up with the idea recently that maybe space and time, not space, the gay space, but space and time, as we know, reality,
yeah,
could be a living organism, a living entity. Now, let's brush past that for a second. But some of these occultists, the way I've heard it put is that they want to become, right? So if we think about string theory and the multiverse, right? And we know this from the movies, from Marvel has an Aleister Crowley, you know, you have DC and all these where they have a cult, right? Grant Morrison, you have a whole bunch of guys who are occultists. They see time, space and time as a web that's interconnected. Now, if you follow either Kenneth Grant or not even Kenneth Grant, you can follow other people that have talked about the detonation of nuclear weapons resonates within this web of space and time and alerts entities on the other side to come through. Well, the way I've heard it put is that these occultists or people who dabble in this sort of stuff, which the character of Nicolas Cage was some sort of witch doctor, almost like deformed.
They said that he was a doll maker who worked magic, so you kind of had this kind of voodoo / like dark
work of the
black
devil.
magic something, working of the devil, yeah, because
The
he was
work of the
also
devil.
a Satan worshiper
So
too, yeah.
the way I've heard it put is that these occultists, these adepts, want to become spiders to travel on this other side between this web of space and time. So that's why Longlegs, when I'm thinking Longlegs, I'm thinking spider. And not only that, Danny, but also Mr. Cage is also coming out with the noir Spider-Man
Yeah, noir
new show.
Yeah.
He also did Into the Spideyverse, where he
Which
was
is
the noir.
multiverse. Yep.
Again, what do the spiders do? They control reality. So when I'm looking at this, I go, okay, so we have this serial killer that influences people without having to be there. Okay. I'm like, this is touching on all I'm firing on all cylinders as I'm watching this movie. And I'm like, what?
It's funny that you even thought about it that way, because I thought there was the more blatant like spider reference when he does, like, he's at the store and he does the thing like this. He does like that because you see one of his eyes through it, the other one's covered. But when he does that, like, immediately my head went to, it's like a spider. I thought he was like, so without going so deep into like the endings and stuff like that, like, I thought when the interrogation scene was gonna happen, it wasn't that they were gonna find him and like bring him in. I thought they were gonna go talk to him, but like the main thing was that between everybody getting killed and stuff like that, he was taking body parts to make like this big, like, whatchamacallit, like, kind of spider like form, like arachnid form. They didn't go that route. That could have been probably too grotesque, but I thought that was the point of the movie being called Longlegs. Apparently, through like interviews and stuff like that, the director said that he wanted to go for a more like 70s type of like horror film type of name. That Longlegs doesn't have any particular meaning, which, I mean, obviously, with everything we've been looking through, it doesn't really seem that way. There's a purpose why it's called Longlegs, but
I mean, dude, you got these cinemagicians that they're working on the backside. Again, they're working on the background. So of course they're not going to come out and be like, hey, it's actually about, you know, XYZ, about the occult. Because when he said his name, I could have swore he said his last name was Kabbalah.
Kabul. Yeah, it was Kabul.
It was Kabul.
Yeah, Kabul.
But that also stood out to me because Kabbalah is, again, the study of the tree, and there's the night side of the tree. Here, let me pull up his name, what his name was. So Nicolas Cage, and what's his name? So the cast, Longlegs, Dale Cobble. Cobble. But when he said it in the movie, again, because he's wearing this, again, another fake nose. He looked deformed, which,
yeah. Interesting part about his aesthetic too is that they wanted to go with a like burn marks. They wanted to give him burns, like he suffered from burning. But they went against that after a while. When they looked at
They
the
wanted to
makeup,
give
they
him
were like,
burn marks.
yeah, burn marks around his face, like burns, like he suffered from some type of burning or something. But
Hmm.
after that, they just said no. Let's just go with like the like if he went through multiple plastic surgeries. And then they said for like the voice or how Nick Cage was portraying the character, he started he channeled essentially his mom. He started acting like his mom. That's why like he does like the high pitched stuff and stuff like that. Is that he was explaining? I kind of played a little bit of my
Because
mom in there.
his mom had dementia. Is that?
I don't remember if it was his mom that had dementia, if it was Nick Cage. All I know from what I've looked up, the director of the movie, Osgood Perkins, is the son of I think his name's Anthony Perkins, the one who was in Psycho, the bad guy from Psycho, the Alfred Hitchcock movie. And
You know so much more about movies than I do, bro. That's the
I
thing.
know. But here's the interesting connection, and I think you would actually like this. His mom was actually in one of the planes of the September 11th attacks. And from what we've known, based off the Nick Cage podcast that you and I do, a little cheap plug there. The Nick Cage was also in a September 11th movie, which was World Trade Center, which is it's
Bro.
all connected, bro. I'm telling you.
So here, real
So
quick. Here, real quick. Let's address this super chat. Appreciate you, Osvaldo Lopez. He sent two. He says who's the FBI director of Monsters Inc. It's a spider who controls the
the
monster
Monsters
world.
World, yeah, that's true.
And then he goes, Monsters Inc. guys, the director of Spider leading the monster world, wanting our Lucia. Because that movie. And
Hmm.
now speaking of the multiverse, that
Yeah,
particular movie is, you see that supposedly people have said that the Pixar movies are all connected, right? Like
yeah.
that they're all, you see pieces of different movies, and like Frozen
Like
is
they'll make
related
a
to
reference,
Tarzan.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It'll be no. Well, for most of the Pixar movies, let's say for example, the Incredibles, they had one of the cars from the movie Cars, like there. It's like a hint as to what the next movie is, but
Mm,
essentially the main like message is that it's all connected.
yeah.
I thought you were going into the case with Monsters Inc. where they use the doors to pretty much go to anywhere in the world.
Well, that's the
But
other
we
thing,
don't
because
know if they go to other worlds too, or you know what I'm saying? They pretty much is like a portal to other places. So
they're wanting to farm that stuff from the children, which that's
yeah.
also connected to the other stuff that rhymes with Google Chrome that a lot of people talk about the elites taking a part of. But check this
Hmm.
out, dude, because let me pull up my screen again. So apparently, Mr. Cage's mom did suffer from mental illness. Her name was Joy Vogslang, Vogs
Vogelsang.
Vogelsang.
Vogelsang. Hmm.
And Cage's mother passed away in 2021, and the actor has previously spoken about how she struggled with mental illness for most of his childhood, at points institutionalized and undergoing shock therapies.
Damn.
And I've heard him say before that he's channeled sometimes when he's doing these unhinged like characters, where because this movie felt like that. It felt like he had mental mental issues, and he was playing it into that character, because he would kind of sing and do this, but then the
Yeah.
singing would turn into like this weird
My
like
f-
roar. I don't know how to
yeah,
explain
no,
it.
my favorite thing that he actually did with this character was the singing was a bit half and half for me because I felt like it went on for a little too long. But when it came to the interrogation scene, it was actually my favorite because he starts out with the "Oh, the angel," and da, 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 he does the high pitched voice,
Yeah.
but then he does this thing that I felt like was perfectly framed because it's so funny. We're talking about all this movie and everything, but we're showing Monsters Inc. I get it though. I get it. But no, the camera does this really nice frame where it's like it focuses on him and he's like doing this kind of like circle motion like that. but then he stops when he starts talking more sinister like, and then he like goes down. I don't know if you remember that part where he's like talking like very, very evil like and whatnot, and his voice gets like completely
And then he
normal
goes
and he
down.
goes
Yeah.
down. Yeah, I found that to be such an interesting like choice because he didn't really have to do that, but it connected in the way that it had to with the whole like satanic messaging, and you know what I'm saying, like the man downstairs and all this stuff that he was doing. But the singing and like the way that he would say, "Oh, it's an angel, it's a birthday girl," and all that stuff, like that was definitely channeling like his mom, is what I remember hearing.
So I'm trying to think, because a lot of these songs that we hear about, like the London Bridge is falling down,
Yeah.
things that the itsy bitsy spider, like a lot of these songs that we were taught as children. And I'm
Hmm.
trying to find the spider guy from Monsters Inc. Spider director, Monsters Inc.
I forgot his name
To
already. It's
see
been a
what,
while since
yeah,
I've seen that.
Henry
Water
J.
dude.
Water Henry J. Waternews here. He is the former chairman, Tilly and Mike's former boss, et cetera, et cetera. And he is the overarching antagonist of the Disney Pixar animated movies. He serves as the fourth. Oh, because they have a whole bunch of movies now. I forgot
Oh
about that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They do.
So, anyways, the for example, the one that I do know of is the London Bridge is falling down. So he's always singing happy birthday to the main character, right? Like happy birthday
Yeah.
to you, like all this stuff. I've learned, at least from the London Bridge is falling down, that that song is actually about the sacrificing of kids, because certain people, there was the human pillar. Have you ever heard of the human pillar, where they entomb somebody in a place as a
No.
sacrifice to appease the spirits of that area? So, for example, the last pillar, they'll throw somebody in there and they'll bury them alive, which is really
Hmm.
interesting because in the movie, they find the first doll at least, and I'm sure
Hmm.
there was way more dolls. The first doll, they find it in pretty much entombed in that building under the crucifix.
Okay.
So this aspect of sacrificing somebody in order to, like, an offering for the spirits of the land or whatever it may be at that point in time. And I think happy birthday, if I'm not mistaken, happy birthday has pagan and occult origins. So the Satan, check this out. I'm just reading this real quick. The
Yeah.
Satanist celebrates his own birthday as the most important holiday of the year. This is from a sermon audio. So I'm sure this is like a Christian. Oh, what? Wait a minute. So this is from the Satanic Bible, Anton LaVey, Book of Lucifer from 1969. And this is
Okay.
quoting from the Satanic Bible. The highest of all holidays in the Satanic religion is the day of one's own birthday. This is in direct contradiction to the holy of holy days of other religions, which deify a particular God who has been created in an anthropomorphic form of their own image, thereby showing that the ego is not really buried. The Satanist feels, quote, why not really be honest? And if you're going to create God in your own image, why not create that God as yourself? Every man is a God if he chooses to recognize himself as one. So the Satanist celebrates his own birthday as the most important holiday of the year.
Hmm.
After all, aren't you happy about the fact that you were born? Then you are about the birth of someone you have never even met? Or for that matter, aside from religious holidays, why pay higher tribute to the birthday of a president or to the date in history than we do to the day we were brought into this greatest of all worlds? Despite the fact that some of us may not have been wanted, or at least were not particularly planned, we're glad, even if no one else is, that we're here. You should give yourself a pat on the back, buy yourself whatever you want, treat yourself like a king or god that you are, and generally celebrate your birthday with as much pomp and ceremony as possible. Bro, again, the movie was super, and again, it started out satanic.
Yeah.
You're like, this is crazy. She opens up the book of the 9 layers of hell. She traces the serial killer he kills based on the inverted triangle, which she takes from the sigil of Lucifer. And he
Mhm.
confirms that when he leaves her the little note. And even the credits, when you were like, oh, I love how it's upside down. I'm like, Danny, it's inverted because it's literally in the movie, they hail Satan. I mean,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they literally, hail Satan like
yeah,
probably like three or four times, maybe.
yeah.
So here we are. This is from again the Satan Anton LaVey, the guy who started.
Mhm.
I believe he started not Satanism, but he started a branch of the Satanic Church. And yikes. So I told you, anyways, the birthday stuff is a cult. And
Yeah.
essentially, it's a cult because you're worshiping yourself. And if you think about it, dude, when you're blowing out a candle, you're doing what? You're making a wish for something to come true.
Mhm.
And then you had the whole Tenacious D and Jack Black incident,
Yeah, yeah.
you know? So, yikes, bro. Here we have another super chat here. They steal your face in the spirit realm like Avatar: The Last Airbender, the spider in the spirit realm. I haven't seen that movie. Have you seen that movie, the Avatar: The Last Airbender, Danny?
No, I have not.
Here you go. They steal your identity, ask for your name, like in
Like in
Spirited
Spirited
Away.
Away.
That was one of my favorite movies. And
Mm.
we're talking about Longlegs, Nick Cage's one of Nick Cage. It came out last week, but me and Danny, we went on a date last night. We watched it in person. He was kind of scared the whole time, but I was like, Danny,
I was like, hold me, Juan, hold me.
and dude, there was some people next to us who were sleeping the whole entire. And
Yeah.
I had some screenshots pop
Yeah.
up on my Facebook, and people were like, "This is the worst." Some people were like, "This is the worst movie I've ever seen. This movie sucked. Oh, I love this movie." It's like, so next to us, you have these people snoring while watching the movie. Okay, here I am
Yeah.
eating my Twizzlers, watching. I need to get my Red 40, of course. I'm watching. I'm eating it. I'm watching eating my Twizzlers. I'm like, this is crazy, bro, because it had me, zoned in. But it was because I was seeing all these occult connections. Okay, and so we've already established he sings the birthday song a lot.
Mhm.
Birthdays, according to the Satanist, is important because you're revering yourself as a god. Did he mention anything? Because if you think about it, the way he was talking was almost as if he was taking on the form of Satan, of the devil. And when he does that thing at the end, which was gnarly.
Well, he also has, if I'm not mistaken, they have something throughout the soundtrack that, and I looked into this last night. Throughout the soundtrack, you hear different things, but what that is that they were dabbling with doing things in reverse. So they would play some sort of audio or some sort of dialogue and play it in reverse throughout the soundtrack or during like establishing shots when something like called out to the lead actor or whatnot, the main character, she would look and like be like, "What's that?"
It
What
was like
they
a
wanted to
ghost or
do,
something.
yeah, it was like a ghost or something. But what they wanted to play it as was back then when they had the whole satanic panic thing where they were like, "Oh, there's satanic messaging or whatnot in music. If you play it backwards, if you play the record backwards, that's what it is." But they wanted to add that throughout the movie so that way it's a way to like make you feel uneasy and like throw you off, but at the same time it's also paying like that
Do
kind of
you
like attention to how they did that back then or
do
how it
you
was back
think
then.
that maybe that's why he was dressed up as a rock star of like the because when was
Yes.
Bill Clinton a president? What years were that? Was that because they
That
mentioned
was
Manson?
90s. That was 90s. Well, they mentioned Hanson or Manson was because of when they were talking about accomplices and stuff like that. But it was like, yeah, but he had family, and it's interesting now making those connections about like family and who could have
That they
helped
were
out
the
and stuff like
family.
that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, um, when it came to the like stuff from the 70s or whatnot or the 80s, what the director had said was that he wanted to go off of, and it's interesting. The beginning of the movie, you start out with a quote from a band. It's lyrics from a band called T Rex, and if you look at some of like the logos and
Dinosaurs are fake,
promotional
dude.
material, what?
Dinosaurs are fake. I just wanted to get that out there.
Oh, okay, cool. Um, so with the whole rock star aesthetic, the director said that he liked how some rock stars had this look, right, with like the hair and everything else, but he wanted to go off of those that would end up being like that one, the one that says T-Rex. If you look at that one, tell me that does not have that
Yeah.
similarity to Nick Cage's character.
Yeah.
But he wanted to go off of that and off of Bob Dylan's, like he had like white makeup on. I forgot the exact name of it. He had white makeup on for certain performances or what's it called? I don't know if it was a European World Tour or something like that. That's what they wanted to emulate. So he would smear that on and whatnot, but he was thinking of the burn marks or scar marks or anything like that to kind of give this this interpretation of this character's been through a lot of like changing. He wanted to change his face or some sort of like shape shifting or whatnot that he wanted to do to himself, but he couldn't really do it. So that's why he appears the way that he does. The reason that he looks so tall or whatnot, you could also kind of connect to the name Longlegs because it's from the perspective of a child. So the reason some of the
Oh.
photos or some of the promotional material you see where it cuts off like by the head or whatnot, like in the beginning of the movie, is to give that perspective of a child seeing someone that, you know, essentially like towers
Yeah,
over them.
too tall. Which also, by the way, there isn't, because Osbaldo's spitting facts. All right, Osbaldo's going hard in the paint here in the comments, and he also talked about there's this guy that has a theory.
Mm-hmm.
Danny, do you know what the Nephilim are?
It sounds familiar,
All right.
but
Anyways, guys, people,
tell me.
everyone watching, Danny doesn't know anything about the occult. So
Hell no.
when I'm telling him about stuff, he literally has no clue. But
No
the
idea.
Nephilim were the offspring of the Watchers, which were these. That's why it's interesting, though. She was in the movie The Watcher, and the Watchers movie came out because the Watchers were these angels that were supposed to watch over humanity, and then they got a little bit horny and they started to do stuff with the daughters of men. And what they
Okay.
birthed was the Nephilim. Now, there's this guy in the community who says, I think his name is, forgive me if I don't know his name, Paul Stobbs, something like that. I'm sorry if I messed your name up, but he does the Nephilim look like clowns conspiracy.
Okay.
And he proposed that there are these descriptions of the Nephilim that they might have looked like clowns, and perhaps that's where we got our clown from. And if you think about it, what are at birthday parties, Danny? Clowns. So, and then you
not my
have this.
birthday parties. They could go straight to hell. But
well, but again,
but I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Yeah.
You've always been conditioned to think of clowns birthday
being
parties,
at birthday parties,
clowns from outer space, clowns and demons. Because if you look at it also turns into a spider, bro.
Yep.
It turns into a spider. So it's all about the spider.
Yeah.
And literally I believe the movie the Stephen King, which he's also
but wasn't the one with it like that he turns into a spider? Sure, but wasn't it like some type of like turtle thing or something? I have not seen that movie or
here we go. Yeah, I'm gonna
remember
pull it up
looking
now.
into
Hold
it.
on. Let me make sure I
It was
don't
like some turtle space thing.
This looking thing. Well, so if you think about the movie Clowns from Outer Space, I mean that's the whole thing. So there's a connection there, Dan, and I think that Mr. Cage, of course, in Cagean fashion, he's hitting on these things because he does a lot of Freemasonic movies too, by the way, pro Freemasonic. So National Treasures, Zandali too, bro. We were supposed to do that movie soon. Zandali, at the beginning of that movie, he's at a Shriners party. That's a sect of Freemasonry. And the Freemasons, according to some, they worship a spider-esque Baal or Baal, or this weird spider looking.
That's a cat and a frog next to him. What the hell is that?
Yeah, so this is a demon. This is Goetia again, bro.
Okay.
I'm just saying, bro. This is a lot of connections that were.
It's interesting. It's definitely interesting. Yeah.
That we're hitting
just so
on.
Everybody knows, I'm more of the movie guy, and he's with his stuff, but it's still awesome to talk about. So don't worry, I'm here for it.
So his name is Paul Stobbs. He's the one that has that conspiracy. And I'm thinking of Bob Dobbs because I'm part of the Church of the Subgenius, and hail Bob because I got him here in the back. So I was thinking about that. But yeah, dude, I mean, this entire movie, let's talk about the one thing that really stood out to me, which was the homunculi in this movie. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that Longlegs was able to control his victims, if you will, right? The way he was able to get into their homes. Again, it involves some stuff, but in particular, he was doing the work of the devil.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting to me because I did, again, another synchronicity. I did a short on Rene Descartes and his android, his daughter that allegedly he created an automaton of and carried around with him throughout history. Okay.
Okay.
And of course, we see this kind of sort of thing. How you said mind control. We can even relate it, mind control through the occult. Essentially, is what it is.
Or
And it's
like
funny,
possession or whatnot. Yeah.
possession. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny that the one guy that was super skeptic about it and during the entire movie falls
Ends up,
victim at the
falls
very
victim
end.
to that. Yep.
And people can watch that. But essentially, what he was doing was he was taking hair, which,
Yeah.
according to the Golden Bough, which is about sympathetic magic, what sympathetic magic is about things that have come in contact with themselves, continue to be in contact no matter how far away they are. That plays into again, this multiverse, this web of interconnectedness of reality. And so he was making these dolls.
Yeah.
Right, this Longlegs character was, think about it, he was kind of sort of weaving these dolls together almost like a spider would weave a web at the Bohemian Grove, right? No weaving spiders welcome here. Shout out to SB Alger. He always complains that when I bring up spiders I never give him a shout out. But at the Bohemian Grove, which is all about, again, these elites going there, I believe, let me double check, but was Bill Clinton at the Bohemian Grove? Richard Nixon was at the Grove, which they also flash him in there. But he said, there's an interesting quote that Richard Nixon said. All right, so he was, I believe, at the, oof. Hold on, let me pull this picture up here real quick.
He's cooking, folks. He's cooking.
Ozzy Osbourne, George Washington having, is this at
I mean, George Bush.
Yikes. Or yeah, sorry. Is this a real picture? No, this
That
is
looks
AI.
more AI.
Yeah, that's AI. Get out of here with that. All right. Well, we fell for it, ladies and gentlemen.
We fell for it.
We fell for it. Anyways, let's just say at least Nixon was there. I know for a fact Nixon was there. Okay. And in the movie, they show Nixon. So I'm thinking that they're hinting at this.
Oh, I've heard of, okay, now that's making more sense. Yeah, I've heard of Bohemian Grove before.
Oh, you've heard about it, Danny?
Yeah, I've heard about that.
You've heard about it, dude.
I've heard about it. Yeah,
something.
yeah.
All right. Anyways,
something there.
This aspect of this guy, right? So no weaving spider at this Bohemian Grove, bro. They have a sign that says no.
Isn't it where they have some sort of like ritual, tribunal thing, like something that they're like paying like homage or tribute to, and then they're all dressed up and whatever? Because I think, and this is gonna really date when I saw this House of Cards, the one with Kevin Spacey. It was a Netflix series. They actually play that. They actually like go to something like that, and like I don't remember what names they use for it, but I remember somebody bringing that up at some point in some like YouTube review. They're like, they talk about this, and if you look into that, blah blah blah. So yeah, that's where I've heard of that.
Wow, Danny, that's all you've heard about the Bohemian Grove. Yikes!
Yeah.
All right, so no weaving spiders welcome here. Okay, so he's making these dolls. And he is using the hair of, I guess, the people. And essentially, the doll, he has this, and it was funny because it would make sense after they did where they did the autopsy on the doll that they found, where the guy's like, I kind of heard it calling my name. Did you hear when he was like,
it called my ex-wife's name. It kept calling out my ex-wife's name. But to be honest, I'm probably just tired from work. So it kind of gave that hint that, like, yes, they actually do play with like possession or whatnot. But they say that in the ball, there's nothing inside. Even though later in the movie, later in the movie they see that when you actually break the ball, there's something inside that's like a mist. Now I don't know if it's visible because they don't really like confirm it that when you break the ball, there's this black mist that shoots out. But I don't know if it's meant to be spiritually or it's supposed to be just like something that symbolizes like, yeah, this is actually leaving here.
So, by
Because
the
what
way,
do you
Danny,
think? Do you think the black smoke was real or not?
give him a thumbs up, bro. Give him a thumbs up.
I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. Little
All right.
thumbs up.
So
There we go.
I think the black smoke, and this is the sign I'm talking about. Weaving spiders come not here. I said it wrong, but you get what I'm saying. The the black smoke, in my opinion, Danny, signified and symbolized, in my opinion, the soul.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay, because it could have been either the soul or a soul of some. And now the black
You
smoke can
say
get.
that, but I actually have something different because I thought that was more the devil influence. Because if you remember, it left our main character's body as well when her doll got shot off.
Guess what
Now
yeah, because
we're not
it
going in
was
order, but there's
tied to her, bro.
yeah, it's tied to her. But also, you got to remember that at the beginning of the movie, she was influenced or at least tapped on the shoulder because she says it too. It's like it's kind of like a tapping of the shoulder. She was influenced to go where
Oh.
she had to go. So I felt like that was more of like a like the devil was telling her go there. Because remember how she's like, it's this house. And the guy goes, well, how do you know? He's like, no, I don't know. It's just I have like this tapping on the shoulder. I don't know. It's
Well,
telling me
again,
to go
it's
there.
mind control through the occult, Danny, is
Yes,
what I'm getting.
yes.
So there was
Gotcha.
an occult, supernatural, metaphysical influence on these people because they had dolls of themselves. This
Mhm.
guy was making these, he was weaving these dolls together, but the doll itself served as a portal, as a door for the devil or something, because that's what
To
was
come through,
talking
yeah.
to these people. Like
Right.
that's what was talking to these families. And it almost seems as if like they didn't care if that other person was present, because I don't want to spoil the whole thing, but if the other person was
Yeah.
present there, because they would still do what they wanted to do. And
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
this relates again into the occult, to where it's what I would consider homunculus technology,
Mhm.
where these homunculi would also serve as vessels. It's called fetishism, okay, Danny, and not
Okay.
fetish as like this weird anime stuff that you're
Not
into, Danny,
shut
but
up. None of
fetish
that.
fetish in the occult is the dwelling place of a spirit or a
Okay.
vessel of sorts, which is what homunculi were used for. So this dude is taking people's souls essentially in a sympathetic magical way, tying them to these dolls that they're then using as like totems in these people's homes to possess them and make them do stuff. I mean, offering that was her that was the offering that they were giving to the man downstairs, right? Hail Satan. That was the whole thing about the whole
Yeah.
movie. Is like, well, I'm going to continue to do this
And
until
there's this
blah blah
also
blah.
this scene with like hoarding too, because if you noticed the because I don't want to spoil it either. I do want people to go see the movie because it's definitely really, really good. The accomplice rather, or the person that has been helping um Longlegs get these murders done and everything, you see a lot of like hoarding where it's like they're keeping a lot of stuff, whether for themselves, but also one of those details was the hair. Is like they
Mhm.
actually use real
And
body
the teeth.
hair from the victim and the teeth to make these dolls. And it kind of channeled a little bit of like the whole voodoo stuff, because I'm guessing like
Yep.
whatever he was making with the dolls, just like you said with the satanic occult and everything, would kind of channel through to like make a connection and then have that connection influence its victims to commit these heinous crimes.
Mhm.
So for me, the whole thing with like the spirit and everything else, I found that so interesting because it gave me this layer of understanding now that I'm like, when you watch the movie a second time, or you end up seeing it as the devil actually wanted these things to happen.
Yep.
So, how much control did our main character have? How much control did other people have? The only one that I don't feel like, I felt like she had some sort of free will in something was the character of the mother, and I'll tell you why. Because of her keeping as much stuff as she did throughout the years, she ends up telling our main character, "Hey, everything that you need to know, like everything is still here. I kept all your stuff in your room." And by our main character making that discovery by looking into it, because you got to remember, she has this like mental block, and part of that is
Yep.
also because of that black like
The doll.
influence, the doll. Yeah, she has the doll still, but she also has like these other things that would, I guess, I don't know
Bleed
how it would
through.
help her bleed through. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you would think like how would they be able to do that? But that was like the smallest crack of like possibility that she would be able to help her daughter be free of it.
So there's various books on this, dude. I mean, one of the ones by Fritz Springmeier, people haven't checked that book out.
Mhm.
That's a book that goes into a lot of the stuff that we're kind of sort of talking about, and it's coming from a guy again in the occult. So I think that the black smoke also, Danny, we have to be careful the way we say this because we are
Uh-huh.
on YouTube, but
Right,
the
right.
black smoke also relates to something else that resembles the character Venom, how Venom kind of sort of takes
Mm,
over his victims, this black slime, if you will, which a lot of
right.
people have said is in stuff that they made people, take once upon a time. If we know, you get what I'm saying, in 2020 when that
Yeah.
whole thing happened, a lot of people say that that could also be a form of technology in order to influence people, which again, if we look, I learned something today. I learned something a couple days ago. Very interesting that I'm going to be doing a short. It'll be out soon. That gelato, bro, gelato, like
Mhm.
the ice cream,
Yeah.
was actually created by an alchemist, black magician guy, and with one of the Medicis. Okay, the
Mhm.
Spider Queen, by the way, she was called the Spider Queen, and it was because of him that she introduced it to France and everything else, and then it evolved from there. But point being that alchemists have taken a lot of things, and it's evolved throughout the years. But mind you, where it comes from. Okay,
Mhm.
so this idea of the thing that they made people take being used as a sort of control method, right? Later down the line,
Mhm.
mind you that toxicology, pharmacology, all these things come from pharmakia, which was magic. The witches
Okay.
were practicing pharmac. So you have to also keep that in mind. And when I saw that black puff, it reminded me of that because of the influence it was having over the characters. Because when she
Yeah.
destroyed that doll and the black smoke came out, uh remember the girl in the institution,
Yeah, she ended up,
you
yeah.
know, she
Mhm.
ended up.
Yeah.
And then what happens to this? The our main character, she kind of faints and does all this stuff. But
Well, that's right, because now I'm making that connection. Her doll never got that girl's doll never got destroyed. So that influence was always there. That's right. Yeah.
that's why she was in that catatonic state. And then that guy's
Yep.
like, I've been here 8 years. Again, that eight number. I've been here
Yeah.
8 years, and she's never done anything. And then when yesterday she snapped out of it, and it was after they had already taken her doll out of the box.
Yep. Yep.
So, dude, it's all I told you, it's all
Yep.
connected,
It's
Danny.
all
It's
connected.
like a spider web. Yeah, so I'm talking about Venom, the symbiote thing. And if you guys want to
Mhm.
learn more about this, I do have a whole chapter on oracular heads, which kind of relates to this in the Occultus Mundi Homunculus edition, 88 pages. 88, which was in the movie, pages of homunky. Goodness, tjojp.com, everybody. And so, yeah, dude, but I did enjoy the movie. It was a little bit more heavily leaning into the occult than I'd like. If I was by myself, I'd be fine. But my wife was there, and
Mhm.
I know how she gets. I know how she gets with the satanic stuff. And then again, going into it with I really like the monologue at the end. And I want to touch on the aspect of him either being used as a vessel for the devil or perhaps being the devil incarnate. Because if you think about it, and this is something I've learned about the occult, that when people dabble in this sort of stuff, and this is why a lot of these elites look the way they look, they
Mm-hmm.
start to look deformed because these things are working, they're changing them from the inside out. Right? If you ever
Mm-hmm.
think of a witch, what do you think of a witch? Like an old hag, like, oh, well, because she's
Yeah, with the
doing
hat
bad
and everything.
stuff
Yeah.
to
Mm-hmm.
other
Yeah.
people. Okay. And when I was looking at him, he again looked deformed. And at the end, when he does that thing, he says he's gonna exist. And I think he says in all, does he say in all their wigs? Is that what he says?
He says that, if I remember correctly, he said he'll always be a part here. Like he'll always have an
Ooh,
influence.
another crazy connection. The Black Smoke and Lost.
Oh, and Lost. Damn,
Damn,
bro.
bro.
I saw another chat where they
Fire.
mentioned Book of Revelation, which was funny that because that was brought up in the movie, but someone says Book of Revelations, and our main character goes, "No, it's just Revelation."
Yeah, there's no S.
And it's so funny because I like again I had that same thought too, where I was like, "Oh, damn, yeah, that's right." I always forget that. I don't know why.
So he says that he's gonna exist. So almost as if him, you know, going away, that solidified the spell, essentially, like the
Mm-hmm.
control he had, and things kind of went downhill from when that happened. So he still
Yeah.
continued to exert his influence. And I kind of wanted it to, I thought it was more of like a psychological sort of thing. I thought maybe he existed in her imagination, which would have been cool too, but everybody else was seeing him. You know what I'm saying? Like I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is just, she hallucinated him when she was a little girl and it was actually, her mom all along or whatever it was. But no, it was a real person. But dude,
Yeah.
imagine seeing a guy like that.
I think for yeah, right. But I think the thing they were going for was, even though Nick Cage is like could be that vessel for the devil or whatnot, I think what they were going for was like the devil has always been around, or he's always around, if they want to go towards that mainstream interpretation of what the devil is, right? They'll say the devil's always around because in that one scene where he's in the little supermarket or whatnot, he's trying to talk to the girl behind the counter, and she gets
Yeah.
creeped out. And she's like, "Hey, Dad, the creepy guy's back, whatever."
The
But it's like
creepy guy is here.
the creepy guy's here. But that's the thing. It's like the devil could always be around, right? That interpretation, what I got from it was
Ah.
he can always just look like some regular dude or a guy that's disheveled or looks horrible, disfigured or whatnot, and he could still have that. You know what I'm saying? That type of influence or something. That's what I feel like. That's what I feel like they were going for.
How does this is a little bit off topic, but how does
Yeah.
Deadpool get his powers from? How do he get his powers?
So from what I remember, and I could be wrong, he tries to go through the same Weapon X program as Wolverine, because I guess the
Oh.
government or whoever wanted to make another Wolverine. It goes completely wrong, and then he suffers from like the radiation burns or something like that that he goes through with the when he gets injected with the whole like serum or something. It turns him
Okay.
crazy, and he breaks the fourth wall. And
Well,
as far as
because
I remember, that's like the general like backstory of him. They've done a couple of different versions of that, but from what I remember, and I'm not just going off the movie, it's just I guess this is just like how general knowledge of him is, because that's what I always remember as like factors of how he came to be.
because the other day my son was like, Dad, I want to watch Deadpool. And I'm like, I was like, what? I was like, I think it was
How
either
did
on
you even
Paramount.
know about this? Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, Baba, you can't watch that movie. He's like, well, why not? And I'm like, well, because it's made for adults. Because I'm like, this is a superhero movie, but it's really, number one, it's super crude, and I'm like, this is a
Rated
guy
R, bro.
who gets reincarnated, like is immortal, and I'm like thinking, I'm like collecting all these dots in my head. I'm like, what this movie's about? It's like, yeah, no, let's go ahead and watch something else. Let's go ahead and watch Paw Patrol or something.
That
But
or all the dick references and everything.
speaking of dicks, Dick Flinghammer, we knew this witch in Vero. She got sick and showed my GF her X-ray, and it was a tumor that was an exact owl. That's
Damn.
bizarre. All right, so here, so I wanted to read this because this was interesting. Nicolas Cage scared Maika Monroe by going method as a serial killer for a week on the Longlegs set. And dude, the monologue that he has, I will be honest, Danny, it made me feel some type of way, bro. I was like, Danny, and now think, all right, now looking back at all this stuff, looking back at all of it, Danny, were we subjected to some sort of ritual while watching this movie, Danny? Are you and I
with how
affected
he
right now?
with how he moved the entire way, like it looked like he was trying to like draw something with his face. Like he was trying to, like he was doing like this dance as the camera focused on him, and then when he
I
got like
noticed that.
really sinister, he was like at the lowest point here, which I
Yeah.
that was like amazing. But yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. Like was he doing like some sort of like ritual thing? Because that
Oof.
was interesting. That
So
was really
he's
cool.
scared because think about it, dude. If you're on set with this guy and this guy won't let up, like he is just in character, and you're just like,
Yeah,
dude, what are you want? And he's just and then doing like all the crazy stuff that he was doing in the movie.
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
be scared too, bro. Because again, and this is according to Weston, he said that at times, there
Mhm.
were points where the character would take over, where the
Right.
character would, and I was watching yesterday, I was watching Kill Tony, which is a comedy show, and they did a
Are you
Trump
talking about
and
the Trump and Biden
yeah,
thing? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Shane is it Gillis or
Shane
whatever his
Gillis.
name?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This
He's
is a
like,
perfect one,
he's
dude.
talking and Trump, and he's like, he was getting a little bit too carried away. He's like, I'm getting too much into character, like he was playing Trump. He's like, I'm getting too much into character right now. I need to back up. And according to West,
Yep.
sometimes the characters that you invite in
Take
are here to
over.
are here to are here to stay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and what's interesting about that is that where I talked about Descartes earlier and
Yeah.
the doll aspect that he was doing. And I stumbled across an old book, Danny, that is it was translated in 1694 from French. And
Uh-huh.
it's the allegedly the first book from 1694, the first book. By the way, we
Mhm.
have the only video on YouTube about it. It's called A Voyage to the World of Cartesius.
Okay.
And right, so we have Descartes with the doll of his alleged daughter. And then we
Mhm.
have Descartes in this other book that is a fictional story. And
Right.
it's about Descartes figuring out a way to project his consciousness, almost like Longlegs, project his consciousness outwards into outer space. The first time outer space is ever used as a sci-fi term, outer
Mhm.
space. And he's able to go to these other realms and other worlds and learn. But here's the kicker. The kicker is that you have to leave your body behind. Okay. You leave your body behind. And as you're in this other world, this astral plane, if you will,
Mhm.
you have to invite a watcher in. Okay. And the way that they describe it, keep in mind the black smoke, the way they described it was a little black Moor. So a little black entity, okay, dark entity, black, whatever, dark entity goes
Mhm.
into your body and it puts your body into an autopilot. It'll brush your teeth, it'll eat for you, it'll do all the stuff. So you're just on autopilot, very NPC like, just doing your things. There's one thing that'll break the little black homunculi, as I've termed them: deep conversation. Okay, you can't have a
Mhm.
deep conversation with it, or else it doesn't know how to act and it will go into overdrive and just self-destruct.
Okay.
Well, in the story, one of the guys, the main character, he projects his, he learns about this technology, and it involves a sort of snuff that Descartes had in this little chest. You take it, and boom, you're out of here, right? You're blasting off into space. You're seeing this Dragon King on a rocket somewhere. It gets crazy. It's wild. It's a really
Right.
wild story. And then it gets into how galaxies are made and all this crazy. Anyways, all this other stuff. And in one instance, the little black homunculi that enters the body to watch it, when he comes back to enter his body again and go, okay, well, I'm here. My spirit, I'm here back in the spirit. I want to go back to my body. The little homunculi goes, I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving. I'm not leaving. So he hijacks the body of like the main guy. And when I think of this sort of stuff, like, oh, he's getting too much into character, something's not leaving. You know what I'm saying? And I've heard before that schizophrenia is actually related to demonic entities, bro. Like that it's actually demonic and occult in nature and not just what they've told us. Because think, oh, look at this. This is an interesting connection. That's an interesting connection there. So they must have seen the movie. All right.
For what? What are we talking about?
The all new possession movies utilize the table headbang. So scary.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of that whole like smashing your head into the
Where did I see a movie that did that recently? I feel like I've seen that a couple of times. The Smiley movie, the dude takes the weight and starts like, remember
last
when we
thing
saw
I
that?
can remember of something like that was this is so stupid, but that Black Widow movie, Scarlett Johansson is
Never saw
like
it. Never saw it.
so just it's this guy that wants to have control over all like the Black Widows or like spies, female agents around the world or whatnot. And he does it by having some type of pheromone so they follow whatever he says. So Scarlett Johansson against like all these like women that can easily beat her up and all that. But one way that she doesn't want to fall into that type of mind control and all that is that she straight up like forces her face into like the table, like just goes bah and like breaks her nose. And that way she doesn't like, so it's so stupid, but it just quickly brought me to that since we're talking about all this stuff.
Yeah, that's an interesting. Yeah, I could have I saw one that did that recently. Anyways,
but yeah, no, I'm blanking out on it too. But there's been other like exorcism movies and stuff like that where they do the whole like slamming their heads into tables or into the walls or something.
I'm trying to think of a movie I saw recently that did that.
Yeah.
Anyways, the point being that sometimes these things don't leave, and so we have here Nick Cage, which I forgot what my wife said about Nick Cage, and I I went into Nick Cage defend mode. She's like, oh well, all your little Nick Cage movies are about blah blah blah. I'm like, listen, Nick Cage is one of the most diverse, dynamic actors that there is, that we've ever known. Okay, like that just comes to show you how much of a good actor he is, that he's able to have all these different roles. It's not just about a satanic worshiping interdimensional homunculus making serial killer. No, he could also make the did you see the movie where he's in everyone's dreams? I forgot the name of it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Dream Scenario?
Yeah. Yep.
Did you see that one?
I didn't get to see that one. No, I haven't seen it yet.
God, dude.
Again, but it's these premises, right? It's these premises like you're talking about, the setup that every movie can have. Oh, you want Nicolas Cage, but now he literally plays Dracula, bro. I'm game. Like that'll put butts in the seats. But again, I get what you're saying. It's like he's that type of actor that will go either very eccentric down the middle, or maybe doesn't do a lot at all. But he's still that type of theatrical approach that he goes for for me, it fit Longlegs perfectly.
Yeah.
I know some people may not like it because let's just be honest, with Nick Cage, some people are either all in or other people would be like, nah, not my cup of tea. But to me, it was perfect.
Which is fine. Again, I mean, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but yeah, I think that It is worth watching. I think it was a good. And then again, if you're into all the occult stuff, here, let's read this real quick. So this dude is method acting, going hard in the paint for a week on set. He probably stayed it with the makeup and all that. Like you can
Oh yeah, he
imagine what
probably
he
had
was
to.
doing, right? He was like,
Yeah, because apparently it took like 2.5 hours to apply that makeup.
all
Like
right.
when he had
So
to.
Nicolas Cage and Maika Monroe are the stars of the serial killer movie Longlegs, yet the duo rarely share the screen, except for one key interrogation scene near the end. Director Oz Perkins. And what other stuff has he made? Has he made anything interesting?
There
Oz
was a couple
Perkins.
other movies he made that did get a lot of traction. Um, well, it was Black Coat's Daughter and oh my
Legally
god,
Blonde?
yes,
Legally. Oh, he did Nope, bro. Oof. That's one of my
yeah,
favorites.
yeah.
Nope.
I
All
think he
right.
was
Not
probably like a writer or something. Yeah, he's mostly a screenwriter. So
okay. So Oz Perkins had a unique strategy to ratchet up the tension on set, which was to keep the pair away from each other during the duration of filming until their on-screen meeting. Oh,
that's
the
awesome.
whole lead up to that was crazy, Monroe said. They had been filming with Cage for 5 days at that point, and it was his last day, probably 3 weeks into filming. The director chose to not have me see anything, not meet him, not see what his face looked like. He created this character, this thing. So I was nervous, right? The Thing, which by the way, The Thing is one of my favorite movies. The old
Hmm.
ones and the new ones, right? That's I think
Yeah,
that cosmic horror of like not knowing body horror, like
yeah,
where
body
they these
horror. Yeah.
grotesque, like
See,
weird.
that's what I thought. I thought the reason why it was called Long Legs was for
Me
something
too.
like that. But yeah. And I see in chat that's a good thing because I didn't point it out earlier. But musicians who sell their soul to the devil, and the way that Nick Cage looks like that old disheveled rock star who's gone through multiple plastic surgeries and stuff,
Ooh,
that's a very interesting connection. Because even the director brought up that he was inspired by like 70s and 80s rock and like that type of like a cult thing where it's like some rock stars leaned heavily into or whatnot when they started getting associated with the whole satanic panic of the time. So yeah, yeah, that's an interesting thing to point out.
yikes! Yeah, no, that is an interesting connection. Again, but it was that's why I asked when Bill Clinton was president because when was the whole satanic panic? Wasn't that during the 70s
I think
satanic
it
panic?
wasn't this thing like in '92 or something. I think he was president from '92 to 2000.
Anyways,
Yeah.
the PAs bring me up to this door that enters into a room where he is. She continued. The cameras start rolling on me, and the director calls action. I open the door, and what you see is all very real. And it was incredible. He's unrecognizable. And so I didn't feel like I was in a room with Nick Cage. I was in a room with Longlegs. After we finished that scene, he was done. He's in this method world, but he was able to let go of it. We're sitting across from each other, and he leans over and his full look and everything and says, "Oh, I'm such a big fan of bro, what?"
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So Cage expanded on his admiration for Monroe in a recent interview with Variety, saying her first major role caught his attention. I wanted to follow her after it followed. I'm gonna have to check this movie out. It
It's really good,
follows.
bro. Yeah.
He said, especially the first opening scenes when she's tied into that wheelchair
Hmm.
getting pushed around. I felt terrible for her and just kept it through the whole movie. It's a different energy than other actors have. It's what makes it uniquely her, and her own thing is that Maika has a personality and energy that separates her from everybody else. She's not like anybody else, and that's a big compliment. Cage also discusses intensity of their scene together. It was important to us, me and the director, that Maika and I not spend a lot of time together socially, Cage said. He wanted the scene to be a surprise for both of us, which I thought was sage direction. I came into a fan I came into it a fan, and I told her as much because I had been following her work and she was very nice. We only had maybe 2 or 3 lines to one another that weren't dialogue, just conversing briefly. My feeling about Micah is that she's effortless. He continued. I think there is an ease to her performance style where I don't see any acting. I find it to have a childlike charm, which is compelling, especially when you consider that she's playing Lee Harker, who is a young lady who essentially had her childhood robbed from her. but she has this inert kind of childlike grace, vulnerability, and charm. You care about her immediately, about the characters she's playing, and I think you care about Maika. I don't know her well at all. I don't know her history. I don't know her background. I just know her as a fan of watching her movies, and she's able to do the most difficult kind of acting, which is that you don't see any acting. Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah. And
damn,
it's
bro.
funny too because how she is like, oh, like behind the scenes, incredibly like bubbly, positive personality, like very like out there and whatnot. But in the movie, she's all this like reserved, like she's quiet. You don't. It was really. She's a really great actor. She's a really good actor.
Check this out. Perkins said he was happy to let Cage approach the role in any way he saw fit. Bro, what I mean, that's what
Hey, this
happens
could work
when.
for you, bro, because you can manifest it. I'm telling you, bro. If you get a Nick Cage in your movie, why not?
Listen, everybody, I need you guys to help me fund this movie. No, I want to. So, yeah, again, this idea of letting things in, manipulating people's realities through the occult, I think is a very real thing. I think that movies are used this way, and this is a perfect example of a movie that, again, was very dark, was very openly satanic.
It's
And
very interesting too, because like when we're talking about all this stuff and how many things have happened recently that just lean into like
yeah,
subliminal and like the more stuff behind the scenes. Because even last night, bro, I'm telling you, the trailers leading up to the movie, we get another movie that it's called Heretic that kind of leans into
oh
that
yeah,
whole like religious, but also kind of like testing one's faith or whatnot by being like really evil and just despicable or whatever.
yeah.
There's this other one that like
So
again, Francis Ford Coppola, another connection to Nick Cage there because that's his what was it, his uncle. And
mhm,
he's making this movie about Megalopolis, which is like this futuristic city, but it leans into either cyberpunk or not cyberpunk,
mhm.
steampunk, and like futuristic, but not so much. It's so weird, bro. It's so weird how like all this stuff going on. The how Microsoft went through that whole thing yesterday. Hell, that happened to my job. Everything
Yeah,
went down. But you know what made me think about was I don't know why it made me think of this video exactly, but like how you brought up like the internet is dead or like something
yeah.
happening where the internet's alive or whatnot. It's so funny that
That's
how in
Ghost in
an
the Shell,
instant,
bro. Think
yeah,
about
but
that.
how in an instant you take that out, right? You take that's that one factor of technology, you take it out and how it affects everybody because you step like, bro, airplanes couldn't leave. People at banks and offices and everything, even my job, we didn't work anything, dude. We didn't do anything all day because everything was just down. And just how reliant we are on something that at any moment that gets taken away or just shut down, it's like, bro, it's incredible how far we've come with certain things that having that not be there anymore, it kind of becomes a little scary to
Yeah.
see how much more we're going to evolve as a society where it's like how reliant you turn into this technology and then it goes away makes me think of Blade Runner. There's sections in Blade Runner where it's like there's absolutely nothing. Like there's like how heavy they are in technology in certain pockets
Mhm.
of the city, there's no technology whatsoever and it's just barren wasteland.
The World Wide Web. All right, it's always about the
Yeah.
World Wide Web. That web
Web,
there.
the
So
spider.
this movie had a budget of 10 million. Okay. I
Yeah,
think we can do at least 1 million, everybody, if we sign up for the
bro.
Patreon.
Yeah, movies don't even have to be as crazy expensive as they used
So
to, bro.
you mentioned something about that movie Heretic, and
Hmm.
a lot of people will be like, "Oh, did you see this movie? Is crazy, bro. It's got so much occult stuff." And I'm like, "Listen, everything has occult in it. Like everything.
Yeah,
We know
yeah,
that people consume media on a level. I mean, every single day people watch sort of stuff. Like stuff
yep.
that we were watching back then. Courage the Cowardly Dog was about freaking weird satanic demonic stuff. Like there's occult in everything. But you mentioned something about that trailer Heretic, which is about testing one's faith and all that stuff. And if I'm trying to remember what he was saying at the end there, where it was almost like he was talking about, did he talk about purification? Almost like about committing the most heinous stuff in order to purify yourself?
Um.
I'm gonna have to rewatch this movie
Yeah.
again. But
Yeah.
again, that's has a lot to do with the occult in some circles where they believe transgression, which is redemption through sin. So it doesn't matter how much bad you do, you can
Yeah,
still
I'm
achieve
sorry. I thought this
salvation.
was fake. I thought this was fake, but apparently it's not. Apparently Donald Trump in his like um Republic convention speech brought up Hannibal Lecter. I actually looked into it now, and apparently he did. I totally did not pick up on that, but he
We were
actually
talking about
did.
that last night, huh?
Yeah, it's on a Variety article. It's like, why is he so fixated on Hannibal Lecter? I just
Yikes.
found that interesting because it's like that's even a connection to this because it made
Yeah.
me feel like watching Silence of the Lambs or
Well,
that
some
those types
people
of
compared
movies.
it to Silence of the
Yeah,
Lambs, bro. I mean, like that's what people compared it to, and that's why when you're like, "Yeah, remind me of this," and I'm like, "I'm sure I've seen Hannibal and Hannibal Rising."
yeah.
I haven't seen all these other ones, Manhunter, Red Dragon, and I want to say I've seen Silence of the Lambs, but it's just been so damn long, you know. So
Mine. If they're bringing up Mindhunter, that's the one from Netflix where it's like these guys that help bring down like God, I forgot. I don't know if it was BTK Killer or Charles Manson. Also, like it's one of those not movies, but series that are like these detectives hunting down these like big serial killers.
you said a series?
It was a series, yeah. There was only like 2 seasons. It wasn't that long.
Oh, no, I don't know. I don't really watch a lot of serial killer stuff. I mean, maybe I wouldn't consider CSI serial killer stuff. Like I like
That's
CSI.
interesting. I would have thought you might have looked more into like serial killer stuff because don't some of them like
Yeah,
look into some of that stuff?
yeah.
Not to say that what they do is like truthful or whatever, but I thought that would have like piqued your curiosity of like what type
Doesn't
of interpretations that they bring up and stuff.
doesn't wet my nugget or make my nipples that hard, dude. I mean, it's like, yeah, sure, like he was a heinous guy, but it's like and a lot of them, dude. I mean, a lot of them follow a lot of these doctrines. Like I forgot. I think it was Richard Ramirez would like tell people like,
Mhm.
oh my God, like I know, say oh my Satan or something like that. Like something about like he would draw pentagrams and all that stuff on the walls, which but I never really been into true crime all that much, dude, to be
Nah,
100%. Again, I'm more
gotcha.
into reading the old grimoires and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, this movie is crazy, bro. I still don't know what we watched. I'm still processing it.
I
But yeah, do you
definitely
want
recommend it. I recommend it to everybody. What's your rating on this one? Well, how would you rate this movie?
yeah, I forgot we got to rate it for the cage rage meter, which he had the moment, a few
Oh, he
moments.
did. He did. He really did.
I'd rate it, dude, at least, uh, not that we're a little biased here or anything, but I say, let's give it a 6.5, right? I mean, a six
You
and
want
a
to give
half
it a
is
6?
yeah, let's give it a
So
6.5.
for me, I always like doing two types of ratings. The Cage Rage, he definitely brought it. I give it an 8 for that Cage Rage. As a movie, because I wasn't a big fan of the ending. I was a big fan of the journey that we took in the movie, but the way it concluded, even though it leaves it a bit ambiguous, I don't know why, but it just kind of let me go like, like I don't know what I was like hoping for. I was thinking like the setup was gonna be something else. The way they did it, it does make you a bit tense at the end, but I don't know the way everything kind of gets resolved. It's just it brought it down to a 7 for me. The movie as a whole, definitely watch
Yeah.
it. Definitely watch it because to me it's more of that feeling, and I actually love that because it didn't, bro. The biggest thing I love about this movie, it didn't feel like a modern Hollywood movie now. Because a lot of these movies now they have to spell out everything for you. Like they have to put time, like they have to put title cards here, where we at, what year it is. This movie's just like, look, we're dropping you in, and you follow the
Fend for
character. That's
yourself.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're either with us or you're not. You know what I mean? And I love that about those old school movies, especially those detective thrillers, because it doesn't hold your hand.
Mhm.
And I wish more movies did that. And I've been very bummed out by like, oh, all the movies coming out. It's just not as entertaining. And this one brought it back to where it was like it was very bare bones at the beginning with like its approach, which I appreciated. But as it kept ramping up, I was like, okay. But then when you find certain answers in the way they lead to the ending, it just knocked it down a bit. But I want more movies like that. I definitely miss that about movies because now it's just been all like they gotta spell out everything for you, and it's so stupid, bro. I hate when movies do that.
Listen, dude, we're in the TikTok era of
Yeah, and you brought it up too. Like people
yeah.
talk about, we had people falling asleep and people saying that's the worst movie ever. Bro, it's a slow burn movie.
Snoring,
People are
bro. They were
so
snowing next to it. They were snowing,
like,
bro.
How is it that it's like these? Oh my god, it's so stupid.
I should have smacked him, Danny.
These people have been so overly reliant on fucking TikTok, and I'm sorry, like I'm going on a rant now, but it's like they love the small dopamine hits every like 5 seconds, and it's like, dude, you like just enjoy the movie for what it is, bro. Like just watch it. Like not everything has to be high octane action or whatever. Like relax.
I should have gotten up and be like, stood up in front of them with like, none of you know how close I am to Mr. Cage. Right? I'm 1 degree of separation. None of these people know.
Yeah, none of these people know. And to even respond to like how people are gonna rate this movie, because believe me, a bunch of people are gonna fall for the hype, and I hate the overhype that this movie has gotten, because it's like, is it the most scariest movie of all time? No. Okay.
But that's subjective, Danny.
But yes, it's subjective, but people fall for that because I used to be that type of person. Like, oh, yo, bro, you gotta watch this thing. Like, you can't miss it. And every time I've like followed up with it, I followed up with it and then watch it, and it's just a letdown. I'm like, I'm not even enjoying this. What the hell is this? Like that's what I hate. I hate the overhype. Like, don't overhype it. This movie builds an atmosphere that you feel uncomfortable watching because you feel like either something's gonna pop out or something's gonna happen. It's not relying on the jump scares, which was another plus for me, because these horror movies always love to do that crap. They just flash something in front of you or whatever, and it's like, it's so dumb. This movie didn't really rely on that, and I actually enjoyed it.
In the end, Danny, was he interdimensional or not? Because it felt like he had this supernatural aspect.
I feel like you're gonna say he was interdimensional. I say he wasn't. He was more a vessel for the devil to jump around.
Just the devil.
Just the devil.
Just the devil. Just the,
the
man downstairs.
The one accomplice did say that if they don't do that, then they twist and burn in hell. So it could be more than one thing.
Also, in an interesting book that she opened up the 9 circles of hell.
Well, but wasn't that like Dante's Inferno or whatnot?
No, that's part
a different one.
Dante's Inferno. Yeah. That's explained the 9 circles of hell. Let's see here. The book, Inferno. Actually, it might have been Vitruvian. Yeah, I think you're right. Hold on, let me check here. Longlegs. I think you might have been right about that. You were right.
Wouldn't that been like Canterbury Tales or something like that? Yeah, lucky guess, right?
Lucky guess, bro. Lucky guess. All right.
It's a movie about the devil. Well, we gotta have the number 6 on it and 33.
66, 33, 28.
14.
Yeah, 14. All right. Yeah. So I guess it all right. So here it is. Pull up my screen real quick. So Longlegs really that scary? And who was the one that said it was the scariest movie ever?
I saw it on some promotional thing. There was like the scariest movie in the last 10 years. I'm like, oh my god, why people trying to overhype it, bro?
I'm scared. Was the whispered lament of one of the people sitting in the row behind us as the lights went down. The second time Kaylee and I saw the second time.
What the hell?
Apprehension made sense. Writer director Osgood Perkins. I think that's his name. Osgood Perkins has written Fairbearer. I saw at least half a dozen critics say it was the scariest film in a decade, perhaps most evocatively from critic journalist Courtney Howard wrote, "It's as if Longlegs was forged in hell by Satan and brought it as an artifact into our world as a gift." That's a lot of.
Listen, to me, that is such high praise for a movie that it makes you think, okay, if someone wrote that, I'm thinking this movie has like a lot more than what it actually ended up having. Okay, so here's my other thing about that,
That's
because
still
critics.
Hereditary. No, it
Yeah,
was not
it
close.
was just so yeah. To me, Hereditary definitely made me feel more uncomfortable than this movie did. But that being said, I actually like that feeling of feeling uneasy. You know what I'm saying? Like that thing of like, yo, I feel like I shouldn't be watching this. That was the feeling of what I had. Like that's what I enjoyed about the movie. I hate these film critics because you got to understand, bro. At least for what I know in like the whole movie realm of like critics and people saying stuff, they say this stuff to fall in good graces with the studios, the filmmakers, the blah blah blah,
Oh,
because they get first access to these movies. So the way it works is they do a whole
I
press
got you.
junket, right? They get to the premiere. The premiere is usually about a week or two before the actual release of the movie. So what do these people end up doing is that they review the movie, whether it's in a festival, primary like release, whatever. They get as much as they can out there to say this is the greatest movie of all time. And what do you often see in trailers or in commercials? You see the quotes from the critics. So a lot of these people now, especially in our little TikTok era that we're in now, want to like inflate this entire movie bigger than what it is. And it's like, bro, stop. Like that's the reason why people don't go out to movies anymore. To me it's stupid because they shouldn't be doing that. They should just be honest and say, "Yo, this movie was really good. It was awesome. You should go see it." Not, "Oh my, I couldn't feel my eyes.
I shit
My eyes were
myself.
not." Yeah, I
Oh.
shit myself. Like
Oh.
what the hell, dude?
Yeah, it's gonna be me next
God.
time. I'm gonna look over to you, Danny. It's not how you see that people say shit my pants.
I shit my pants, bro. It's so, oh
Yikes.
my god. Sorry, I went off on a rant there, but yeah.
No, you're good, dude. So the music was made by the
It was a
director's brother.
band. It was I thought it was a band because it
The
only had
film
like one name.
soundtrack was conceived by Zildjian, a pseudonym for Elvis Perkins, the brother of the
Oh, nice.
director. Interesting. And you
Good old
said
Elvis.
that they were putting backtrack stuff in the music.
Yeah, that they were implementing like certain audio or whatever to be played backwards.
Yikes. Yeah, and I think
Hmm.
Danny, just pray tonight. I think we're subjected to
If
some
I
sort of
remember
occult ritual.
correctly, there was a certain audio that was being played backwards, and I went to look for it. And when I played it back, it said, "Follow the Juana Juan podcast. Give us a like. Make sure the stream reaches as many likes as it can." And bruh, yeah, dude, I heard that. And I should have told you last night, but I forgot, bro.
You
I was,
scared me, bro. I thought you were gonna say
yeah.
some real stuff. You want to plug your channel, dude, before we get out
Yeah,
of here?
definitely. Folks, just want to say y'all been fantastic. I want to thank Juan for having me on. You can follow me at Daniel Rockstar absolutely everywhere. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I stream on Twitch sometimes on Wednesdays or Thursdays, depending what day it is. But yeah, you'll sometimes catch me on with Juan as well. Juan would be live on Tuesdays. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
That's right, everybody. Make sure to follow Danny. Links down in the description. Get your copy of Cultus Mundi, Homunculus edition, 88 pages.
Show the colors, bro. You got to show all the colors. Come on, bro.
So yeah, we got these professionally printed this time. And for some reason, this one's got like a sparkly, like it's not focusing, but it's got like a sparkly little sparkle to it. So
Okay.
yeah, make sure to pick that up.
I like
TJ
the green one. The green one's catching my attention.
OJP.com. You got the issue 1 and issue 2 on there as well now. Make
Hell
sure to pick
yeah.
that up. TJOJP.com. Yeah, I'm streaming every Tuesday, 6 p.m. over on the Juan Juan Media YouTube channel. Links down in the description for those interested in gaming content. Those who don't, then it is whatever. But yeah, 6 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays. And as always, everyone, keep those cheeks tight, and we'll catch you on the other side. Have a good
Later.
weekend and Saturday, everybody.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.